Surprise, we're back early.
Not again.
You you had something pop up on us for next week, so we're like, "We'll
Yeah.
just do it tomorrow."
Yeah, I guess this will be I mean, we at least have the day down. We just,
Yeah.
hopefully by July, my schedule will kind of be more normal. I just had so many things happening that's. um,
So, we're kinda just winging it today, so friends in the chat, if you have questions about paranormal or wanna share stories, feel free, put them in chat, we'll go over them. Because we kinda have some things planned for the next time. Got a really cool picture and got it verified by Marianne too. I don't think I got to well, I think I started to show you in the store and then, like, your reading came in.
yeah, we were looking at it really quick and we just started talking about it, and then we
Yeah.
asked about some things, and then we never got to finish talking about it. So.
So, that'll be, for the next time we're in, and, hopefully, the owner of that place can join us
That would be good.
for a little
Yeah.
bit of the discussion because he has had wow, the notifications, even with my do not bother me mode on, is annoying. Um, um,
That's good. You're
yeah,
popular and in demand.
so yeah, not really. It's just stupid Discord, Etsy, nothing important right now.
Uh,
'Cause, a new crochet pattern must have dropped on, Etsy from somebody I follow, like, I do not need that notification in the middle of a live, thank you. Um, but, he has had some interesting things, and, I'll just get random texts from him now, and he's like, "Well, came in this morning and the whole movie screen is unraveled and laying on the floor." And I'm like, "That sounds rather annoying. Glad that's not my movie screen."
Glad I don't have to go pick it up.
Right, right. Because I will not be able to roll that back straight. It'll be all like
Right.
centered and everything. And so that will be hopefully the next time that we're on. Today we were going to share some personal stories because it's kind of last minute. We didn't plan on being on today, so we're just winging it around busy schedules. um, but we're like right before we went live, we were talking about things that we have both experienced in different houses that we have lived in. But any friends that are live with us, feel free to share, comment, ask questions. It'll be fun. Um, Managed to load up a couple pictures of my old house. I don't think I've actually ever sat down and shared everything that we've experienced in that house.
Can you ever share everything that happened there? I mean, it's like.
It's like at times I forget about things, and then somebody will say like, "Oh yeah, I'm like, oh shit, that happened in the house too."
Right.
Like, oh yeah, that happened, this happened, that happened, that
Well, the
happened.
weird thing is, I just had that dream last week. Like before I came to the shop in the winery, I had that dream about being in the house, and we could only go through two at a time for the funeral. For
Yeah,
whatever reason, but I couldn't see who it was. It was like really weird.
yeah, in my old funeral house.
But I mean, I haven't thought about that house in forever. Then all of a sudden, I'm having this dream about like being there for a funeral at the house. So.
Right, right. And it's funny because people in town still debate whether it's that house or another one down the road if it was the funeral house. And I'm like, do you not see where the coffin sits, even standing on the
Right.
outside of said house?
Right.
Um, but
The entry, like all of it's kind of obvious, but okay.
right, right.
Come step inside. You want to see if it's a funeral home?
So, and that little bump out area where the casket would sit in front of those windows, on the inside, is where you would put it up, the casket, and people walk in. But a lot of interesting things happen in that house. And to really sit and think about my parents' house, which is in the same town, couple streets over, like I would have a hard time saying which one is more active.
Right.
My house never really scared me. If anything, it was more annoying of what things would happen. There had been a couple times that I would be the first one to come home at night and would just sit out in the car in front of my parents' house and be like, I really don't want to go in there. Like the whole house would just seem like it was just over looming and just big and darker. Like there was a dark cloth in front of it, making it, worse than it should be. But I am a believer of ripping the band-aid off, so I would go ahead in and would just, at times feel like a whole energy of the house, like somebody took the middle and just pulled the whole energy of the house at me coming in the door, and it would be startling. But, like, that little bitty town has a lot of weird stuff that happens in it.
It's interesting you say that because, like, when we came back from Tucson that year, your mom was going to make us dinner, and we were supposed to go to their house. And then, like, last minute, when I think it was like actually when they picked us up from the airport, she's like, "Well, we're just going to do it at your house instead." And it's interesting because, like, sometimes those things happen when you're not supposed to meet a person or go to a place, right? Like, all of a sudden, everything just kind of changes, and it was so last minute. Like, oh yeah, she's going to take us back to her house. She's making us dinner, and then we'll go back to my house. And it was just like, no.
Hey, Melanie.
Hello.
So we have an impromptu paranormal discussion today. Schedules changed for next week, so we're kind of winging it today. So feel free, guys, to ask questions, share stories. Safe
It's
place.
my fault. Not really my fault, but kind of my fault. It was an appointment's fault. So.
So, like, literally last night at like 7:30, and we're like, what are we going to talk about? Because we don't have the other topic ready that will be for the next time we're on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, why don't we just share some stories, talk about experiences we had as kids growing up? Right? It is a woo-woo Wednesday. One of the things I finally remembered yesterday when talking with Caddy Thekatic from, the Mansfield Reformatory, and I'm like, I don't feel like this story is necessarily paranormal. It would probably fall more on a fae side. And Kayla, you might be interested because you hunt, right? And fairies and in that realm. So that entry walkway off to the right, you would end up in the kitchen. Now, where the camera viewpoint is from is where a couch would sit, that I would sit and my ex-husband, and then off to the left up against that wall would be like a love seat where the boys would sit. And it was like we moved in October. So the fall of the next year is when this happened. I was sitting on the couch facing the TV. The boys were sitting there kind of playing, and we were just talking. And I think we were waiting to go to dinner or something, or we just came back. All of a sudden, the house like started vibrating a little bit. And, at first I was like, guys, tone it down, thinking they're roughhousing. And then this sound of a stampede coming from the kitchen through that walkway and then out that front door. And the boys were just like, what? And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, this is kind of cool. This is kind of an honor. And they're like, what is it? And they're like, we should. And I'm like, don't move. Don't go out there right now. And they're like, why? And I'm like, say hello to the wild hunt. And they're like, what's that? I'm like, I will tell you a little later, but give respect. Don't go running through that. Kind of like, you don't cut in front of a funeral line, and it lasted for about 3 to 5 minutes.
I don't think I ever heard that story.
Yep. Only once. It was kind of like, hey, we're here. I don't want to say it was more of a nice to meet you. It was more of a, we are here. We are
We were
present.
here first.
Yeah, kind of. And I'm like, kind of cool. Cernunos and those beings and, doing their hunt through the house. And I'm like, okay. One and only time. That entryway has had some issues.
Yeah.
That door on the far left there is the door that would go upstairs. Many people have heard my voice calling down the stairs to them. Wasn't me.
You don't do that. You're quiet at your house.
Yeah. I do, Melanie. I do. I don't have them handy. They're actually I have a coffee table that lifts up. So if anything, we can show those next time if you give us permission. So we think, what, about in 2 weeks, Kayla?
Yeah. Wait. Let me pull that
Double
up.
check.
I don't even know what's going on this month now.
Check your
It
schedule, ma'am.
would be the second because I'll be gone the 25th.
Okay. So
And my appointment ruined everything for next week. So
we're scrambling and we're trying to make it look like we know what we're doing today.
I will be on side of the mountain on the 25th, and I'm happy to be there.
Okay, cool. So she says yes. So Melanie, if you're able to join us, what you said was the second, we'll show your pictures. You can fill us in on the history, because there's some really cool cemetery pictures.
Oh, fun.
And if I can find where my photo album is from cemetery photos from the back 40 of Fort Campbell, we have caught some cool things out there years ago. And I was just trying to take pictures of a cool looking cemetery and then ended up getting little things, showing up in it. I'm like, why are these not being taken care of? Never mind that they're doing all artillery exercises like 50 feet that way, like, come on, these are old private family cemeteries out in the middle of the woods behind Fort Campbell, really.
Instead of shoveling sand into bags, go over here and
Yeah,
clean these
right.
up.
But yeah, so this old house, we estimated built like 1850s, used to be a funeral home, kind of perfect for my personality, except I got tired of driving. So it's currently rented out. Current resident, not really having a whole lot of issues inside the house. Now there is an old man that on the other side of this house is a 2-car garage. So he will mess with things in the garage. She has had to resort to putting her lawnmower in the neighbor's garage, which I think is hilarious, because I'm like, why wouldn't he just follow you over there and mess with it there?
Right.
I had caught glimpses of him in the middle of moving my store to its current location. Like, I would work all day at the store, pack boxes, move it over, reset set it up. So I was just tired. And I had gotten home the one day. This is when I still had the Dodge Avenger. Kind of got out, turned, opened up the back passenger door, grabbed my work bag. And as I was turning to shut the door, all I saw were a pair of khaki pants walking by. It reminded me, I think it was Phil Collins in The Air Tonight or something, where there's like the pants and clothing on like mechanical things. And that's what it reminded me of. And I go inside and family's like, what do you want for dinner? I'm like, I just need to go to sleep. I'm like hallucinating. Like, I saw just pants walking by, and I think it was my son. He was like, no, I've seen the man out there. Oh, but he would mess with the gas cap on my car. So it was 50-50 every morning when I went outside when I would turn the car on, if the whole check light would come on and I'd have to go and like retighten the gas cap. Never messed with the ex-husband's car, only mine for some reason. But to the point where I'm like, why are you messing with my car? And he's like, I'm not. And I'm like, well, if it's the ghost doing it, why is it not messing with yours? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, that's annoying.
Right. You're the favorite. That's all.
Yeah. Now, Kayla, because you had stayed in my house when you visited before and after it being cleared.
Yeah.
Did you pick up anything before the clearing?
So when I stayed in the room that I stayed in, I always just like, I want to sleep. Nobody's coming in here. So not in my room, but I know, like things walking by. They're not all human-y type things walking by. There's a few different things. I happened to be there when Sith got locked in the basement. Poor little guy. That happened to him quite a bit, though, I feel like.
Yeah.
And I really can't remember if this was before or after the clearing. When we were sitting in the living room on the couch, and the door for the upstairs kept opening and closing. Do you remember that? Like, we were just sitting there, all of a sudden it would just like click and pop open. Somebody would go shut it, it would pop open. And we kept thinking it was Rune coming down to like, do something. It was not him. It was just the door opening and nobody standing there.
Yep.
So I'm trying to think like before and after, because I feel like a lot after the clearing, a lot of the human type activity went away. It was more like other things kind of came in. You had so many layers of stuff. Like when you were trying to clear the house to when you were originally going to sell it, when, you know, things amped up and everybody was trying to do something, right? It was, it feels like it just came in like a lot of different layers of different types of activity that were happening there.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think. I had a few experiences at your house, but the irony is I never really had anything in the actual like funeral room there where the casket would be. Like in the, I can't really point to it over there. um, um, though I think it was the first or second time I came to your house when I came in the door. Hello there. When I came in the door, there was like that spirit guy standing there, and then we ended up finding out he was like going back and forth between your house and the shop, but it wasn't Bob. Do you remember that? It was like a different. It was like years ago. Do you realize it was like, oh, like I want to say like 10 or 12 years ago? It's been a long time.
I
I'm too
honestly
old to
don't
remember
remember.
this stuff.
I do not remember. So
So,
much stuff happened with
like, I
this
was
house.
carrying my bags and walked in the door, and there's like a guy right there. I was like, oh, okay. And I was just standing there holding my bags. And then I know the ex was still there at that time. And I feel like he's the one that's just like, oh, yeah, just go around. Like, so I wonder if you weren't even standing there. I wonder if you were maybe getting like decompressed from work. And I was carrying my bags in because I remember him standing there
Huh.
with it, but like in the kitchen. And so, but that was like literally my first impression of coming into your house. I'm like, oh, we're starting like now. Like I'm walking in the steps and you're here greeting me. Hi. Carry a bag. That would be awesome.
Right.
Funny
Be
thing about
helpful.
spirits, whether they're like human spirits or like other things that come through, they're not very helpful all the time. They don't pay rent. They don't help clean, you know, didn't carry a bag for me, that kind of stuff. But
Yeah, they weren't that helpful. The only time, as much as I complain about fairies, I feel like we had little brownies here and there.
yeah.
And after that huge hurricane that hit more up around New York, God, probably in had to be between 2011 and 2014. But it was big enough that like the aftermath, like it came over, hit Ohio and everything, and we were without power for days and stuff, and flooding. And like my area where this house is isn't a flood zone, but the amount of rain and water and the unfinished basement. At one point, we go down there because the heat's not kicking on, and the amount of water. So we had to, get the sump pumps running again, and this, that, and the other thing, and finally get it drained out. And the ex was having trouble lighting the pilot light. And I'm like, this is the last thing we need right now. Like the store's not even open making money right now, let alone the cost of like a furnace and everything else. And I'm like, all right, all right, little brownies. Pretty sure y'all hang out around here. Here's some honey, here's some bread. I think we had a bottle of mead that somebody had gifted us at some point, and part of them like, please go down and get our pilot light situated without blowing up the house.
Specifics. Definitely got to
Yeah.
use this.
And yeah, next thing I hear is like, I got it, and I'm like, oh, and I'm like, all right, you get extra bread and honey, you get extras. So this is the only time they were ever really helpful,
Right.
per se, that I'm aware of. Now, I will say that there was an older lady that would go in and out of the houses in town. And Marianne even picked up on her when she came out to get rid of a different guy that liked to hang out around the bedroom. I remember her saying, and I'm like, does she wear like a blue dress? And she goes, yeah. I'm like, I think I've seen her.
Oh, I remember that guy because you just told me to go get a towel or something. You're like, just go ahead and go in there. And I turned around and there was the guy like standing right behind me.
Yeah.
I
He
kind of
was an
forgot about
older
that.
guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was an older guy, and he's buried cemetery like right outside of town.
I think it's funny because like you get where it's just like normal stuff, right? So like when you talk about things back and forth, it's like, oh yeah, I remember this.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I
he
remember
was the
that.
one throwing sits down in the basement because he couldn't get a reaction out of me by messing with me. So then he started attacking the cat Because at the end of all of this, like my son was visiting his father in Oklahoma. We were going, so it was just me and the cat. So then he's like, well, then I'm going to mess with your animal. And I'm like, the fuck you will. um, but the lady had caught the ex doing some things, and she had came in and stood in this entryway by those closet doors because he could see them, and was just giving him a what for about it. So I'm like, kind of helpful, kind of not. I don't know. Maybe. But I'm like, I like you.
Right.
I like you. But after Marianne had cleared out the house and put the seeds up, in this room, come on, add it. So not those three right there. It would be the windows on the porch under the covered part, right? We would have those windows open for breezes and stuff. And I would be sitting in the living room, and Arun would come in, and he's like, yeah, Mom, what? What are you talking about? I'm like, you all right? He goes, yeah. He goes, well, you were calling my name. And I'm like, nope. And then he started paying better attention, and she was calling through the open windows because she couldn't get in anymore. And I'm like, well, she's got to stay outside.
Right.
So,
this is an outside toy.
yeah. If you really want to talk to her, you can talk through the window. She's not coming in.
Right.
But that town has a lot of stuff that goes on, and I feel I don't know if that house attracted more just because of the funeral house, but I do know like my parents' house always had a lot of stuff going on, and the stories from my aunt. I got a couple uncles who swear nothing happened, but they are very devout Christian, so it's not in their wheelhouse to want to admit anything anyway.
They usually do at some point. Might be.
Yeah.
One way or another.
A good friend of mine, who has heard my voice calling to her in that house there, when we would hang out at my parents before I had gotten that one. She has picked up things in my parents' house, has seen things. At one point, she was, pretty much living with us and had a bedroom down in the basement. And, I noticed like anytime we were down there, like she never looked in the one direction of the basement. And, and I'm like, well, your books and all that are over here, because I would notice like if she wanted a book, she would always reach around and keep pulling till she got the one. Like she wouldn't even turn around to look. And I'm like, why are you doing this the hard way? And she finally admitted that there was like a woman that would stand in that area and just stare and like glower at her. So her response was, I ain't gonna look at you.
If I can't see it, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Like the cat theory of hiding, right?
Yeah.
My eyes are covered.
Like, well, that working out for you.
I'm hidden from you.
Yeah. I have come home at night, been in like the kitchen making a sandwich or something. Everybody else is in bed at my parents' house. So we were a family of 5, 4 other people in the house. It would sound like a high school marching band going through the house. I'm hearing it. I'm sitting in my room and I'm just like, I'm going to lock the door. Probably not going to do a damn thing, but it makes me feel better. And hearing the dog bark, but nobody else waking up from any of the noise, be it the marching band, be it the dog barking. Nobody is responding to any of it. I'm like, well, me and my sandwich are just going to sit here in my room and we're going to log on to the internet and we're going to ignore all of that going on out there. And we're going to talk to the other humans in the morning of like, why didn't y'all not hear any of this?
Well, like my childhood was like that too. My parents wouldn't hear any of the stuff I was hearing or like seeing, and like, what do you mean? Like, and it's so in your face, right? It's not like, how do you ignore this? Like, what are you doing? And there's so many times you're just like, yep, didn't hear anything. I'm like, huh, okay, sure. I'm surprised they didn't put me in a nut house, but now they understand.
So like what instance as a young person that it finally made the light bulb go off over your head that you're really seeing things and it's not your imagination?
I think that took till I was actually like in my 20s. That it was, well, maybe like as a teenager, but like they were so normal my whole life, whether it was seeing like dead people or something that was going to happen to somebody or seeing these different spirit things like the fairies. I think I was talking about the fairy tree in my neighbor's yard when I was a kid, when we did the fairy episode. So like I just didn't understand people that would say, oh, that's just imaginary. I was like, well, how? Like, it's here, I'm interacting with it, don't tell me. I remember going to a funeral for my grandmother's boyfriend. Her husband had passed away before I was born. So he was basically my grandfather. And I remember going there and being so upset because nobody was talking to him. He was in the casket, but he was standing next to the casket. And I went over and talked to him. And they kept telling me, no, that's his brother. You had to be talking to his brother. He has a twin brother. And I'm like, no, like, I know it was him. And like the twin brother honestly didn't really look like him. Honestly, I mean, similar enough. You could tell they were brothers, but you wouldn't really think they were twins. And I just remember being so like off-put that like, why are you being so rude? Like, I'm a little kid, and if I was that rude and ignored him at his own party, you would be mad at me, kind of a thing. So I just feel like a lot of things were normal. That it took me a really long time that like people don't see these things, and to me they were just a normal part of my life. And there was times when I was going through a lot of medical things. I think that's pretty common for a lot of us. Like, we try to shut it off, right? Like, I have enough going on in my life. I'm trying to stay alive here. I'm trying to figure out what's going on with me. Like, I don't want to deal with, I don't want to see, here. I don't want to do anything with any of this stuff right now. And that's not really how it works. I shut it off. I got sicker from shutting it off. And then I kind of started realizing, oh, some of these things are here to help me, some aren't. And hi there.
Trying.
We're going to be like a little bit of a roller coaster here and there for right now because I have a messy schedule that we're trying to work around.
Yes. So like we'll be gone next week, but back the week after. So that's why this one's impromptu. We were planning for next week, but surprise.
Yeah. hopefully after this month it'll be smooth sailing and regular. But yeah, I think I had a really hard time. Like, when I was a really little kid, my parents used to tell me I was having nightmares. And now the thing that I was, sorry, I just hit my computer. The thing that I was having nightmares about is actually one of my really strong dark protectors that I use now. That comes when I'm in like really, really bad paranormal situations, when I have really, really bad clients coming in, because not everybody has all love and light and fluffy. I have some pretty dark things that I deal with. And now I know, like, the people that can see him, I'm like, aha. Well, it's more of a it. But it's like this dark, swampy creature from like a whole nother realm. And I used to be petrified of it. I used to actually have scratches on my head and on my face when I was a kid. And my parents were like, that's just the cat. Because we had this cat that would just like all of a sudden be like a jerk and just scratch people. And I'm like, yeah, the cat's not even in my room. Like, my parents started locking the cat out of my bedroom at night, keeping the door shut, and the same things were still happening. Then the doctor was like, oh, well, it's probably allergies. She must be itching her head and her face in the middle of the night when she's sleeping. And then I kind of moved to another room more. And I was actually afraid to go to the bathroom. It was right next to the bathroom. So I literally do this like ballerina leap across the doorway because I was afraid to touch the floor. Because I always thought that if I touched the floor, it would be able to grab my feet and pull me under the bed. So years ago, so that was like the gist of my experience with this thing back when I was a little kid at my parents' house. Nobody else saw it, experienced it, blah, 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 whatever. I was in Kentucky probably around 2014, 2015 for a trip, 2016, somewhere in there. And my little niece went over, and I used to have like hedgehogs and stuff, so she wanted to go see the hedgehog. I had little hedgehog books and like a little chalkboard, so she would always play with that stuff when they were at the house. I just kept it like a little closet area. And she wouldn't go in my room to get the stuff, and my mom asked her what was going on, and she said there's something growling at me and hissing under the bed. And so my mom was like, okay, well, I'll go in with you. So she went in, and she goes, well, I want to stay right here. And she was like staying huddled in the corner. And I was like, no, come back out. Like, she couldn't figure out why she wouldn't go past the bed and like past the doorway. And I've kind of gotten used to this thing, and it wasn't hurting me. Nothing ever got rid of it. Nobody was able to clear it. It ended up being because it's one of my protectors. It wasn't supposed to be cleared. It was literally there, like training me it was like preparing me for like some of the darkest of the dark things, and that it was going to be my protector. Basically, is what it was doing. It was, molding me as a child. But she ended up drawing. My niece ended up drawing on the chalkboard, basically like as best you could draw a chalkboard figure of the same exact thing I used to tell my parents about and used to draw when I was a kid. So she saw it, she heard it, she wouldn't touch the floor either. So I was like, ha ha, I am not crazy. She saw it too, but it took like 20 something years for that to happen.
Again, to like ding ding.
That somebody else actually heard it and saw it, and yeah.
When you're like, oh, it's like the swampy, like I kept thinking of that swamp monster. I think it was in Scooby-Doo.
Oh. Yeah, it was like weird. It had like stuff hanging off, and it had like hairy man knuckle, almost like gorilla hands, but with claws and really yellow eyes, and just kind of like this.
So is it Bigfoot that went rolling around in the wet grass outside? Is that's now what I'm picturing?
No, it's like smaller. It's like dog size, but it stands up and can walk around, and I don't know. It's just a really weird entity. I've never gotten a name from it or anything. Doesn't want to give me one. I don't care. It's okay. My friend's husband saw it once at my house, and he's like, "What is that thing? It looks like a black dog kind of cat. I don't know what that was." And I was like, "Because you're a shitty person."
Did Dave ever see it, or any of the other people?
He may have. I'm trying to remember. I know he had the encounter with Irene. But
I'm all for dead old ladies throwing plants at shitty people.
Yeah, I should have listened, right?
I'm going to be.
Irene doesn't like you. You gotta go.
Yeah, I'm going to be the old dead lady throwing plants at shitty people.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
Oh, remember at your house when the water thing came on the refrigerator and just like spewing water out?
No.
I feel like
I mean, again, so much stuff would happen that I'm like, oh, well, the fridge is bad.
We were sitting there like just chit-chatting after. I don't think it was like Arizona trip. I think it might have been when I just came to work at the shop, and we're like, what is that sound? What's going on? And you asked Rune what he was doing, and he's like, gaming, so he didn't care what was going on. And then we ended up figuring out, like, you got up and went out to the kitchen, and there's just water like spewing out of the water thing out of the fridge.
Chairs, like, I'll be moving chairs before people can sit on them. I do know, like, we went on like a little family vacation and came back, and like one time the fridge was completely dead, and I'm like, shit happens. Right. The fridge that was in the house when we bought it, probably the one that was leaking everywhere. And I'm like, oh, okay, so I had to get a new fridge. The second and like only time we went on another trip, actually, and it wasn't even a vacation. We had to drive my son to Oklahoma. I swore I would never go back to that state, and yet here we were. But it was for his grandma's funeral, and I'm not going to tell my kid he can't go to his grandma's funeral.
Right.
And I come back, and now the furnace is out. And I'm like, the appliances keep getting bigger every time. Mm-hmm. We're gone for a decent amount of time. This isn't cool. So had to put a whole new furnace in and everything for the house. And had contemplated putting the expense out to run the ductwork, because that old house, because of how old it is, it's a big house. The central heat and air was only on the first floor. So wintertime could be cold upstairs if you didn't have, plug-in space heaters or whatever. And summertime could be sweltering because there was no AC. So there were some summer nights, like the mattress got drug from the bed upstairs, thrown on the living room floor, and we were camping out in the living room for like, a week or two at a time until the temperature would drop a little bit and it could be tolerable to sleep. So that house, yeah. Not my circus right now.
No, the house is always,
it's my tent.
That house is always just going to be a lot, a lot. No matter whether it's just the house itself, the spirits in it, around it, the garage, whatever. It's just always going to be a lot.
Yeah,
I think it's one of those places, like, it's not harmful, not like. I definitely believe there's certain locations or the people that come to them that are just like, you can clear them to a certain extent, but certain things will always kind of be there because they're just kind of like checking on things,
Thank you, Chair. You're right. I've got to get more active in our Discord. I know we finally got the "Hey, we're live" notifications going up, and I should go put these pictures of the house up in Discord. It's always on my list of things to
That's
do.
why
And
you run this and I don't, because I don't know how to do any of that.
then
I also don't want to. Don't go there.
you just wait. You just wait. And chair, like I still need to give you access for that. Let me add that to my list of things to do before the end of the week. Because for once this weekend, not going to deny that I have like this low key anxiety that I'm forgetting about an event that I'm supposed to be at. But like right now, there's nothing written down for this weekend that I have to go do. Worried that I'm forgetting something. But that means I have more downtime to sit and take care of back end stuff, over the weekend. So, oh, you got the link. Thank you, Chair. Thank you. Thank you. If you share it in Twitch, I should be able to copy paste it and then share it on this side, and it'll throw it out to all three places at once. So you are a lifesaver, Chair. And one of these days when we are big and fancy, of people who have issues with electricity.
I'm one of those people.
I was like, I think that's kind of more of like a psychic thing, right? More than a paranormal thing.
I do and I don't. I tend to blow light bulbs quite a bit. I'm not going to deny that the newer ones are a little harder, so that's nice. It saves me some money.
There's Kayla sitting there like at the light bulb.
I just have thank God they don't keep blowing like the old ones used to. Saving me money.
Drain
no, I
battery.
definitely definitely battery drain things for locations. Light bulbs blowing. I'm trying to think. There's also been weird where frequencies will change with electronics too, or being in, I want to say, I'm trying to remember I'll have to think about the location. But anyway, one of the locations we were in, a whole section of the building did not have any power to it. And all of a sudden, everything just buzzed. You could hear the electrical buzz go through it. The loudspeakers came on. I know it was old school. I just can't remember which one right now. Lights flickered, and they were yeah, there's not actually even light bulbs. There's no way for anything to be doing anything that it did. It was just a really quick surge. It lasted not even a full minute and happened. But definitely battery drain. I've had that happen a lot of times, whether it's cameras, equipment, cell phones, any of that kind of stuff. So I mean, sometimes it can happen between psychics too, or mediums, but other times, it's definitely with spirit things.
I know for a while there, it seemed like I would drain watch batteries really bad.
Yeah.
So before I got my Apple Watch, I had I forget the name of the company. Spent maybe $150 on a watch that the movement kept it.
Yeah, the kinetic watches or whatever they call them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got, and I still have it. So if and when I'm tired of putting up with this thing, which I have to put on the charger every night, I just got a kinetic watch. Now I do know, which is funny. I give my mom a hard time about this. She kills laptops like nobody's business. I'm like, I don't know if it would behoove you to get an Apple, maybe that it would last longer than your Windows, but she's going through a laptop every 6 months between the batteries given out, between the software just crashing. And at first I'm like, well, it's because it's Windows and it's crappy and they force you to do these updates and it eats all the memory and now it can't operate and blah, blah, blah.
I'll be right back. I have an urgent thing happening. I'm really sorry.
Oh, no worries. So, but as time has gone on and watching her honestly not do anything to cause it, I'm like, I think you're just one of those people, unfortunately. Let's see. Chair says, I've heard people never dream of phones, like smartphones, and I can't think of any time I did have a phone in my dream. The closest thing I think, I had a dream at some point while in the shaman apprenticeship, and I think because I was kind of avoiding some inner work that I needed to do. But the dream was me walking through a wooded area, and it was weird for me to be myself because usually I'm not. I'm either somebody I've never known and I'm watching people I've never met. But I'm walking through the forest, and on trees would be almost like old payphones. Hear it like every so often, and this urge to go over and listen to like, and then my critical mind was like, how the fuck did phones get like on the tree? How are they working? There's no phone wires. So I woke myself up being too analytical. But it was more the message to like slow down, pay attention, get back into the communicating, and quit assuming I know what they're trying to tell me. Um, Crystal says, I was born a month and a half early. Then they had an electrical storm and the power went out. I was born in the dark. But do you have issues now more so with the electrical, with light bulbs and things like that? Make sure it's not just a coincidence, unless you were somehow absorbing some of that. And now, if you wanted to, could you go blow out the annoying like street light across from the house that's like shining in the window? Could be a cool low-key superpower. Hey, Divine. And hey, Gina. Yeah, I find that people draining batteries tend to be in that psychic field in a way. That's why I'm like, I think that's more of a psychic thing more than a paranormal, when it's always on a person and that person is draining the batteries, is draining the energy. Because like you'll hear of investigations where batteries and cameras, batteries and flashlights, those go out. But if you're just sitting there doing your work and you're popping light bulbs, you're draining the batteries constantly. Your laptop has to be plugged in all the time. Your phone has to be plugged in all the time. That's more of that person thing. And so I'm always curious of like what psychic abilities or energies are kind of attributed to them that might be causing this. Right. So that's the thing. It's very rare for me to be myself in dreams. Like I said, I'm always somebody else. And what's weird is like there's like this overlaying of knowing in the dream that I am aware that I am not myself and interacting, but like letting it play out because it's like this needs to happen, see what happens, and watching people. And there's been at least one dream that was in black and white. Like I was watching an old movie play in black and white. And remember waking up. I'm like, was this a past life? Was this an instance that I observed? Was I one of those other people? And now I am witnessing what happened from another side of that story. But it's always been annoying.
We should definitely do a whole past life thing, because I know I've had old people like us have had a lot of them. But there's some really cool like dreams and stuff like with past lives. We should do like a whole thing about just that. I mean, it's kind of paranormal-ish, I guess.
Yeah,
but
could be. I've lived in two places and them hit by lightning. Yeah, you know what? You might have some fun stuff going on.
Yeah.
So now that you're back, Chair asked if you've ever had a dream with a phone. Because she said, I heard people never dream of phones, like smartphones. And I can't think of a time in any dream that I've had that. What about you?
I don't know. I feel like my dreams are usually working on somebody doing something.
Yeah.
Walking through your old house for a funeral.
I dreamt of being on the phone, but it was a landline. Hey, Gina.
I'll have to think about that. I don't know.
Like I'm always
replacing point though. Now I'm gonna like pay attention more because yeah, it just
yeah, Crystal, maybe you need to get one of those kinetic watches. They're not too expensive, but then you don't have to replace the battery because your movement keeps it like wound.
Or the fact that you get off time as it starts to slow down, if you're just slowing it down and not crashing the battery altogether. Yeah. The kinetic watches are definitely I stopped wearing one. I used to wear one all the time. It was just getting frustrating to me, and my phone's usually somewhat near me or somebody will have the time, so I gave up on it. There's also times so a couple of my watches had different time zones on them, and they would like get like all intertwined, like weird things would go on with it. I'm like, I'm just not cut out to be wearing these anymore. I wore them all the time, like when I was younger, like up until I really started doing more of this publicly, and it seemed like the more of this I started doing, the more chaotic all my electronics went. So
Huh.
Yeah.
I've never really had any problem with electronic other than like the watch. So I got the kinetic that solved it.
Yeah.
There has been times when like if we were doing the shaman apprenticeship, and like I would be there to like help the teacher, you know, it's kind of like half student again, half helper, and would be sitting in my space with my mesa sit up in front of me and would just be sitting there, you know, connecting, listening, just being still and absorbing. And then, you know, how like even with your eyes closed, you still see light, you know, and I would see this flickering. And so I'd open my eyes and look, and the halogen or, you know, whatever lights in the office building right above me would be like flickering. And I'm like, huh, that's weird, you know, like, okay. And then part of me would be like, let's see if we can blow it. um, Never got it to completely blow, but you know, so I guess I have to be in a really heightened space to
Good
get that to
morning.
happen. Hey, Greg. Um, so yeah, we got about 13-ish minutes left before Kayla needs to run out the door. She's a very busy lady.
The call that I just got was a surgeon's office for a post-op that I was supposed to have that they kept forgetting about me, and they finally just called after trying to. So I'm sorry, everybody, but I was just like, I am not doing this again. I'm taking this call right this minute before
Right?
I'm waiting a whole another 4 months, 3
That's
months.
okay. We just talked about you until you came back. It's fine.
That's okay.
Whatever.
My feelings wouldn't get hurt.
Right? That Kayla. Oh my God, you guys. So in 2 weeks, hopefully we'll have the plans lined out. I've got at least one picture, hopefully a couple more coming of a place local to me, that are having instances go on and have verified with Marianne at least 2 spirits in the photo. So getting the permission and hoping the owner of that building can join us to talk about what they're experiencing out there. It is Rhodes Marketplace out in Sandusky. And what I find funny is in the back area of this place, they have like a splatter paint room. And then they also have a rage room. And I'm like, that is hilarious that's where a lot of your activity is happening in the artsy area and the take your anger out area. But I'm like, I love the fact that you have a rage room because let's go break some shit.
We should have did that on Monday. We should have went there and checked it out in person since it poured and I couldn't do anything outside anyway.
Yeah, he would have let us in.
A little late now, but
yeah. But mine was a visitation dream. Yeah, I only had that one dream with old-fashioned payphones being lodged inside tree trunks in a wooded area and walking up and being like, "Hello, spirit."
I'm trying to remember. I'll have to think about my dreams and the phones and stuff. I know I've remember talking on phones in them, but I don't remember what kind of phones they were, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I just remember like the analytical mind was like, did the tree grow around the payphone and that's why it looks like that? Is it embedded in later? Where are the phone lines? And then I'm waking up because I'm too analytical about the message, that was trying to be presented to me. Marianne's doing well, slowing down, trying to embrace retirement. Ted's doing okay.
He deserves it.
All right. They were with us at the Wine and Spirits. She will be with us again in September on the 20th when we do it again. Kayla will be with us. And
I'm finally coming back. That you didn't cross me off completely. Like, oh, bitch, she hasn't been here in 3 years.
Right.
Whatever it was.
Chair, and this might be more you, Kayla, says, the tales from around the world about night horrors that sit on your chest in the middle of the night. They go by many forms, like old women or demons, and hold a person down. I've heard of them, but I've not experienced anything like that.
I've worked with some people that have had them. I've, to release them. There's also psychic attacks where people will deliberately do that to people to take their energy, their power, their gifts, or worse. There's people that will, for whatever reason, they feel the need to do this. There's people that will do actual like psychic rape type things too, and have people pinned down. So I've had to work on cases like that. So yeah, there's different forms of that, and that like those cases came like as a dream, or like going into a sleep state and then realizing that they're awake but actually held down and can't move by an actual other psychic person, or they can be spirit related also. I mean, is there like specifics you wanted to know about with that, or just kind of like the vague discussion of possibilities for it?
How would you prevent that while we wait for a question to come in?
Protection, definitely, like a lot of energetic protection. You can try crystals. Crystals are great. They don't always work for everything, though, but they're a good start. Let's see. My grandfather show me.
Oh, nice. Melanie's like, I had my grandfather show me where to find his military discharge paper. Oh, he told you where to find his DD 214.
Look at you. I love when they do helpful stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's like those type of things. When it's other people doing sort of psychic attacks, it's just kind of like, what is the best type of protection? Because as much as I love rocks and crystals, they don't solve everything.
Right. I think a lot of that comes from within, and calling forth like your healing team, your protector team. Like when I teach the protection class that I do, we work on building like your whole team for like who is best for you to call in, or like what situations. Like if I'm going into like a really dark paranormal place, it's way different than when I come into your shop to do something, or if I'm just gonna be sitting doing readings, or like there's definitely different types of protection you want to do versus if you're more of an astral traveler when you sleep, there's different things that you want to do for that versus if you are, I don't know, gonna be working with herbal things or something like that. So I think a big thing is figuring out what kind of protection works for what situation, and or if you need to be more protected when you sleep. Like, are you pretty good on top of things during the day, and then at night you start to have all these dreams, or you've been held down by something, or you're having these like lucid experiences? Then definitely working on protection for yourself when you're dreaming, and also clearing. I'm a big fan of, you need both; they go hand in hand. Clearing yourself in the morning, clearing yourself in the evening. You want to clear yourself from the things you experienced during the day. I didn't take it. I wasn't there. You're looking for something. I don't know.
No, I'm looking for a book, and I'm sitting. I'm like, I can see the guy's face. He lives in North Ridgeville. I'm like, he's got a really good book, and I think it's called A Walk in the Shadows. And he covers like night paralysis, nightmare, night demons. And he goes behind the science of what's really like the night paralysis of like how the chemicals react in the body of like shutting you down.
Right.
So you don't hurt yourself in a dream state. And then versus, the actual entities. So he's giving you both sides, and he does it really well. He doesn't
like
talk down to you. And I'm like, I can see the cover.
Right.
And I'm like, I can see his face, and I'm like, why can't I think of his name? We actually had him join us for the Miriam book club we had, and he was going to do a talk about shadow people, and I thought he was just going to come and talk and answer questions. This man showed up with like a projector, slides,
nice.
clicker, like
right up your alley. He was like on top of it. Huh?
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm kind of sorry you just showed up for a 15-person book club with all of this, like. Thank you. That's on our YouTube. You can, you guys can go back and watch that.
Yeah. I think it's good to reach out to somebody who's familiar with working with it, because there's so many diverse situations. Like, I don't have a way to give without being like, I had this experience. What was this kind of a thing? There's so many different reasons that it could happen, or what it would be caused by, from different places, different, people experience similar situations from like abduction related things, right? So
right.
I think in that situation, if something somebody's struggling with, especially repeatedly, definitely to reach out to somebody that can look into it deeper for your personal situation.
So what can Chair do to like help deal with this nightmare king she's got at the end of her bed?
Okay. I'm just reading her question. Oh, that was the question you were just reading.
Yeah.
I would definitely work on layers of protection for things. That's something we could work on talking about. That's a pretty in-depth for 5 minutes. That's a pretty big conversation. But I would really work on not just crystals. I would work on asking, are you acquainted with your like guides and spirit that work with you, your higher self, all those things? Or like, do you have a team that you typically work with for stuff?
Oh, I know, and like Chris, she's like, calling
Yeah.
on your guides and helpers are the most effective.
Well, that's, yeah. So, like, if you have like a protection team, like asking your guide for protection, but if you're already doing that and it's not working, it's time to start working on developing like a team that's going to protect you specifically for that. Like, ask for your realm protectors, dimension protectors, planetary protectors. Like, develop a team specifically on those kind of territories of where you feel it's from. I'm seeing that being tied to another dimension. So even though dimensions are, that's a big topic. So they're not always, there are like dark things that tend to walk up the sides of lighter dimensions. So, or hang out along the sides of them. So I would definitely work on your dimension protection and making sure you clear yourself before you go to bed. So you're not like, sometimes if you hold on to things that you experience during the day and the energy wears you down, it makes it easier for things to come in and to do things to you. There's different herbs you can try to use. So I'm a firm believer in things must come from with around you or from like an energetic team, because not every entity, spirit, whatever it is, believes in sage or crystals or holy water or whatever these different things are. They don't always believe in them. So being able to do something energetically from where they are from is where you can get your strength to protect yourself.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, she's convinced it's not just shadows, and I feel like you're right on that.
Yeah. Well, and the more attention you're going to give it, the more it's going to build, because it knows it's getting attention. It knows it's getting through to you. So it's going to keep finding ways to get through to you and work with you more.
So, whoop, it shifted. Here we go. So, Amy says she has sleep paralysis. So her starts out like it moves through my toes up and it feels like she's being held down. And that's one of the things that his name is Mike Ricksecker talks about, like the science of sleep paralysis and, you know, how it feels and the chemical breakdown in the body and everything. And he's like, so there are people with this, and then there are people that are experiencing this. And
there's definitely medical conditions that will cause these things too. Like there, like a lot of people with mitochondrial issues have that. There's like a lot of different things that in the physical body, imbalances, things like that, that can be causing that, short term or long term.
Yeah. Let's see.
Hence, it's really good to reach out to somebody that can tap into it and see, is this a metaphysical thing? Is this spiritual, energetic, or is this like a real physical thing happening in my body that I need to address some sort of treatment or supplements, something like that?
So how would Melanie best protect her 2 cats?
So you can definitely put, well, some crystals in cats' water bowls if you want, and then they're drinking the protective energy, some of the protective, but just be careful, look up to see which ones are safe and not safe. But just any way you would do your own energetic protection, you can still do that to your home, your car, your pets, your plants. My plants need it for me.
Stop killing the plants.
Right, I think. I don't know. But you can definitely like encompass them. You can make like a bubble for them. It's hard. So I don't know what level each of you is at with your protection work, because there's different stages, there's different levels. So you can start with the more basic level of basically wrapping them in a protective bubble. You can put something like mirrors around them to reflect things back from them, which would always reflect directly back to the source that something's coming from, to protect them from something. Like I said, the crystals in the water, most cats don't mind them, so I'm trying to play with them. Obviously, like bigger pieces, not like little crystal chips that they're going to drink up and choke on. So depending on where your protection level is at, sounds like we have this topic to cover too. We should do a protection thing in different levels of protection, because like when I do the protection class, it's like I start with like a more basic level for like your more basic healing, basic paranormal things, your everyday life, and then like working into like realms and darker things and protecting from that. So we may have to address that at some point. to be of better help.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know at one point I had tried to put like a really cute little protection dangly charm on
Yeah,
Sith. It had like a little pentacle, a little black tourmaline, and it became his mission to rip it off.
yeah.
So, he doesn't tolerate dangly. And I'm like, how funny, because your owner doesn't like dangly earrings. So we have
Mhm.
that in common.
Right.
But,
Yeah,
but
you can use like those little coils, the crystal coils, and hang them on a cat's collar, dog, if they're willing to let you do it.
oh,
Um,
he would be trying
yeah,
to get that off. But I know some
Loki
cats don't
probably would.
mind,
Right.
so
Loki liked them. He didn't mind. I would change his little crystals out for him every once in a while. Nacho, not so much. Everything's right.
yeah. Yeah, Mike Ricksucker, very knowledgeable guy, very nice guy. He's always at Parapsychon. We've had him, like I said, he came out for a book discussion because we were talking about his book, A Walk in the Shadows. And like I said, he brought a whole presentation, and I'm like, you're kind of going overboard for like the 10 to 15 of us sitting in this room. But he let us record it. It's on our YouTube. You can go back and watch that. Um, he is popping up on TV shows about places and things. But yeah, he's a local guy to us. He's just right in North Ridgeville.
Yeah, cool.
Um, I should be like, hey, Mike, what are you doing September 20th? You
You
know,
should.
you should
You
come
should
hang
probably
out.
have him on here too.
Yeah, and he's very approachable. So as long as he's not traveling on an airplane, because I swear, like every other day, his Facebook feed, he is on a plane with the caption of like where he's going, and like he was just out by the pyramids. He was just over here.
Oh,
He was
awesome.
just, and I'm like, do you sit still very often at all? He's like, well, when I'm at the conventions, I'm still here, and I'm like, yeah, but you got to get on a plane tomorrow at the end of this and fly out. He's like, yeah. I'm like, like that's
Sounds
very
super
tiring.
interesting. I would love. I'll have to check that book out. But I'm grounding myself from books right now until I finish reading like the 10,000 that I have. I mean, I'll probably still buy them, but I'm reading like 6 different books at a time, like usual. Because I'm like, oh, this one's about this, and this one's really just got different chapters, and this one's like a nice story. And it depends on my mood that day, which book I'm going to read. So until I start wrapping that up, I'm gonna not buy
Yeah.
myself my books, but it's gonna go on my list for sure.
Oh, we got to let you go. It is 11.
I do have to go. You want me
Yes.
to just close out my camera so you guys can hang out because everybody's got some good
Well,
questions.
yeah, if you got to go, I'll wrap us up. So we're going to be back in 2
I'm
weeks.
like reading all the questions over here, and there's like some really good questions. Like
Yes.
to
So
address.
guys, please
So
bring your questions back in 2 weeks, or email them if you're worried about forgetting, and just put in there like paranormal woo woo Wednesday questions, something like that. So I know where it is and I can start and save it, and we'll make sure
yeah.
we talk about it.
Woo Wednesday questions and pictures.
Yes, yes. If you have pictures on phones or whatever, something that will fit in an email, feel free to send them. Let us know if we have permission to share it up on screen, and if you want us to let people know who you are, or if you'd rather be anonymous. But yeah, we're going to be back in 2 weeks. Hopefully with more of your guys' questions. We'll hopefully have the guy who owns Rhodes Marketplace and some pictures and discussion of what he's got going on back there. I'm like, I'm glad that's your store, not mine.
I know. I didn't really get to look at it. I mean, we started talking about, started looking at it, and then things got busy again. So
Yeah.
I'll be looking forward to that. Maybe you can send it over to me in the meantime so I can look at it again, because now
Yeah.
now I'll be thinking about it. Oh yeah, I started looking at it. Now I didn't get to finish looking
Yeah.
at
And then, I think it was Eileen was like, your reading's here. And I'm like, all right, go earn your keep. We'll talk about this later.
it. Right.
All right. Well, thanks for joining. I did. And we will go over that, Melanie, and I'll have your pictures ready. So it'll be fun. And hopefully Kayla will have more than an hour. So if we go a little over an hour in 2 weeks, we won't be rushing. But
Yeah.
thank you guys.
Yeah, that's just kind of the way this month panned out. I'm really sorry, everybody, but we'll get it straightened out where I can start planning around it. So
yeah. So yeah, we'll be back in 2 weeks, and we'll have more Woo Woo Wednesday fun. And we'll see you guys then.
bye, everybody. Have a good day.